Welcome to the Municipalities of South Dundas Regular Council meeting for Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, with the council team and staff, members, media, and for everybody watching online. Item number one, I'll call the meeting to order. Let it resolved on September 25th, council meeting of the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 6 p.m. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Confirmation of agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda? Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broad. I'd like to pull 9B from consent, the resolution from the blue box regulation from North Glengarry, move that to notice of motion.
Notice of motion 9B. Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. So amended. Any other additions, deletions, or amendments? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as amended. Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Item number 4, adoption of minutes. Regular council meeting minutes of September 4th, 2024. Any errors, omissions, corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as presented, September 4th, 2024, regular meeting. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. And moving to delegations. So welcome. We have 2 delegations tonight. We're going to start off with the House of Lazarus. We have Christina McDermott and Kathy Ashby with us tonight. Welcome. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Broad, Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, and Councillors Smith, Vino, and Ward for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm Christina McDermott, and I'm the Community Outreach Manager at House of Lazarus.
And I'm Kathy Ashby, the Executive Director of House of Lazarus.
So we'd like to start by thanking all of you for participating in the Fashion Show fundraiser that was held in April of last year. You all did a fabulous job modeling and helped us raise over $10,000 for the Community Hub and Warming Center in Morrisburg.
You're very welcome.
You're looking a little different tonight. That was
A little different attire. Thank you very much. We had fun doing it. We were just discussing that as the picture is in front of us here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So House of Lazarus is a non-profit organization that works in the community to ensure that people have the basics of life. We operate 2 food banks, one in Mountain and one in Ingleside, 2 social enterprise thrift stores in Ingleside and Mountain, a community hub and warming center here in Morrisburg, and a community hub now in Kempville. And we have many other programs that we offer throughout the counties. Our main priorities are food and housing insecurity. House of Lazarus strives to fill in the gaps of services and resources. The scope of the people who we help has risen greatly over the past several years. In April, we actually took a time to look at the month and see exactly how many people we helped through all of our programs in that month, and we were over 1,300 people in that month alone. And I can say since then, our numbers have only increased across the board. So tonight we'd like to share some of the key programs that we're doing here in South Dundas with you. So our Places for People program offers affordable housing solutions for families living in Dundas County. At this time, we have a duplex in Williamsburg that's used for this program, and we provide the only 2 affordable family units in all of Dundas County. This program provides affordable housing, so our tenants pay 30% of their income towards rent, and City of Cornwall Housing pays the remainder of the rent up to fair market value. We provide mentorship for our tenants. Tenants are matched with a mentor. They meet with them regularly, and the mentor helps them to set personal goals, and then we help them provide resources so that they can reach their goals. We also provide a trust fund, so we hold back 5% of the rent in a trust fund for them. So if it comes a time when they're ready to meet their goals, we turn that over to them. But sometimes life gets in the way as well, and unexpected vehicle repairs or expenses come up, and at least they have a built-in savings fund that they can access. Since 2021, when this program began, we have housed 12 people. So in total, 3 families consisting of 4 adults and 8 children. One of our first families has moved on to home ownership, so we're really excited that he met his goal for him and his family.
So we opened the Community Hub and Warming Center here in Morrisburg in February of 2023. So we opened it in partnership with the St. James Anglican Church. It was created as a first stop in providing a safe place for people who are unhoused in Dundas County. So what can be accessed there? Warm meals, hot showers, laundry facilities, different programming that we offer, and a chance to work with agencies locally. So people don't have to go to Cornwall because that's where most of them are based. We also have a partnership with the United Way, so we secured community investment funding from the United Way, which supports the full-time Community Hub and Warming Center coordinator position and additional supports, so like gift cards, thermal blankets, thermal cups. So we've had 320 unique individual visits to the Community Hub and Warming Center since opening. We've assisted, there were 33 unhoused individuals that have accessed the warming center and or services at the Community Hub. And our individual visits to access services at the hub have almost tripled from last year to this year. And we've had over 22 community services offered out of the Community Hub. So our total number of visits at the hub is 1,705.
Which I think is amazing since we only opened February last year.
It's a big number for a small town like Morrisburg, right? So, yeah.
And our Last Resort Dollars is another program helping people in South Dundas. The purpose of this funding is to either keep people in their homes by paying hydro, heat, and rent arrears, or to house people by paying their first and last month's rent. This year, the United Counties SDG, through the United Way, is supporting the program. And in South Dundas, we have helped 70 individual families through this fund. It is the last resort fund. We always, if people call in with a need, we always send them, redirect them to other resources in the community first. So if all else fails, we have the last resort fund, and it has made such a huge difference for people. So in South Dundas, the highest percentage of clients we support are in Morrisburg, Brinston, Iroquois, and Williamsburg. And we have housed or kept housed, so prevented people from being evicted, for 22 individuals and families in South Dundas alone at a cost of $31,000. So the rewards for having that funding available is amazing, and to house 22 families or individuals, I would dare say would cost a lot more than $31,000.
So for tackling food insecurity, we have our Green Food Box program. So this program provides community members the opportunity to get fresh produce at a wholesale price. So the Green Food Box program is offered twice a month, once in South Dundas, which is the second Tuesday of the month, and then once in North Dundas, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month. Community members are able to purchase a small bag for $15, which is suited for singles and couples, or a large bag for $25, which is more suited for families. In the next month, we are making some changes to the program, so community members have selection over what produce they are receiving each month. When comparing pricing to local grocery stores, it would cost you double to purchase in the store what you are getting in our green food bag. And Operation Backpack. So House of Lazarus partners with local schools to offer a supply of nutritious meals and snacks for children to eat over the weekends, free of charge. As of today in South Dundas, we help 117 children from 4 different schools in South Dundas. So Morrisburg Public, St. Mary's, Iroquois Public, and Seaway District High School. Each backpack contains food for 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, and snacks, fresh fruit and vegetables, as well as milk.
So we have several other programs that address food insecurity. 51 families from South Dundas access our Ingleside, either our Ingleside or Mountain food banks. Our food banks offer not only monthly supplies of food, but several other programs, including the Birthday Club program, Crock-Pot Cuisine. We offer school supplies to our families and a Christmas adoption program. At the Community Hub each week, we serve a community breakfast on Monday mornings, and we have a community lunch 2 times a month on Thursdays. We also have started a community kitchen whereby participants come together, cook meals together, and then they're able to take that food home with them to eat at another time. I guess last Friday, we had 10 people participate in that program. Just in August, we started a senior meal program for seniors who have trouble accessing food in the community. It's a partnership with JW Mac Senior Support Services and Care4. Our food bank provides monthly hampers, weekly snack bags, and weekly prepared meals for seniors. JW Mac picks them up in Mountain at our food bank and distributes them. The program just started, as I said, mid-August, and we already have 15 seniors participating.
So we are grateful for the opportunity to share with you what we are doing in South Dundas to serve and address the vulnerable population. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both for coming tonight and sharing your experiences over the last year. Certainly, people are in need, and that continues to grow, and we recognize that. I think it's great that we, and I see Gail, and Gail really bugged me about that fashion show. I really think it's really important that we do fundraising within South Dundas, so people can see the things that we're doing, and then have an opportunity to give to a good cause, which it is. So I think that's really important to continue. We do those events, and I'm up for future events anytime to support that. Secondly, I do know from SD&G standpoint, the council delayed in passing the budget for through United Way to the Last Resort Fund, and I brought forward a notice of motion to strike up a committee, and you're aware, strike up a committee to dive into to make out official recommendation to the county councilors to, whether we continue funding programs through the county council money, or does it become a regular part of our regular funding, at what level, et cetera, like lots more to come on that as we're going to obviously dive into it. So I think it's really important that we strike up that committee and bring forward a good report to the whole council, so we can make some logical funding decisions for the folks in your positions that are executing these programs. So thank you for that, and more to come on that. Questions, comments from the council team?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown. Thank you for the presentation. Just a couple points, and I just wanted to add on with that committee as well that Mayor Broad was speaking about. I think what that will help as well, Mayor Broad, is it gives all the organizations a good base of what to expect year after year in terms of the funding, where you don't have to always keep coming in and asking for money every year, and then we've got to, kind of calculate, figure out, okay, who gets it this year, who gets it next year. So I congratulate you on that committee. I will say that, and I echo what Mayor Broad says, that any other type of fundraising initiatives, maybe not so much of the same nature, although I had a great day. I'm certainly up to assist as well. But I think that really shows that, and you said, I think the value was $10,000 that we raised, we helped you raise that day. I think that just shows that when a community gets together, how much money you can actually raise in one day. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you've said it because I was kind of reading through, but I think that helped. Did that not help support 1 year of your warming house? So one day helped do 1 year's worth of funding. So I think that just to show that, sometimes on a smaller scale, though it is a big result, sometimes on a smaller scale, doing 1 day events like you guys did And I'll echo Peter and Gail did a wonderful job on the costumes and organizing and everything, and it was just a fabulous day, so I congratulate you for that, and certainly, yeah, we're always here, hopefully always here to help you out as best we can, so thank you for the presentation today.
Thank you.
Any others? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So thank you for the presentation. You mentioned that you've expanded into Ingleside and also now Kempville. How big is your catchment area right now, and is it going to keep getting bigger?
So for our food banks, we have specific jurisdictions, but for our outreach mission, there's really no jurisdiction. It's what we have the capacity to do, and really we expand as the needs expand, and as people come to us and say the needs are expanding, and as we see the amount of phone calls we receive, the amount of people who come through the doors has just grown so greatly. We've had to grow in capacity to meet those needs. So the Last Resort Fund is an example of that need in the community, and the United Way, it started with donations that were given to the United Way, and the United Way asked for an agency to step up and to serve the counties, and we were the only agency that took that on, knowing that if we help people in Glengarry and Stormont, we were also helping people in Dundas. And so sometimes we step outside of what was typically our capacity, because up to that point, we did not serve all 3 counties, but it was an opportunity. The money was there, and we knew that the people across the counties were in need, so we stepped up to do that. So do we have the expectation that we'll just keep growing and growing? Hopefully we won't need to. I would love to see another agency take on the role that we do and fill in those gaps in other communities. We would love to be a model for other agencies or not-for-profits to get together and to duplicate in communities, because there seems to be gaps. Government-funded programs are very much mandated, and they have to follow their mandates in order to get money. Well, we have no government funding, so that doesn't apply to us. The community funds us, and just like you said, raises funds for us because they also see the need in their community, and that's how we operate.
Yeah, I think that's what becomes a challenge, is there are different agencies, like our food bank here is the community food share, so different agencies, so it does become confusing somewhat on at what time who we're supporting which area. Yeah, so, yeah. Cool. Councillor Wood?
Oh, thanks, Mayor. So I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you. I know all the work you guys do it's really important. 1,705 visits is not small for our little town. So thank you for everything you do. I'm sure those families appreciate, or those individuals appreciate everything you do. And as everyone up here has already said, just let us know what you need help with. Looking forward to your next fundraiser in any way we can help.
Cool, all right. Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, our next delegation, Watson Associates, redevelopment charges. I think we have Sean Michael Stefan online with us. Can you hear us, Sean?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we have a little echo here. We're just gonna fix that. Okay, try again. Go ahead, Sean. Oh. It was that other TV, I think. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, good evening.
Perfect. Yep, go ahead, Sean. You're good.
Great. So And are you receiving any other funding services towards these, like other grants, subsidies, or contributions? So the services that are eligible under the development charge bylaw of the act are listed here. The ones that are in bold are the services that have been identified through initial meetings of staff to be discussed in further detail for potential inclusion in the municipality's proposed development charge bylaw. So that would include water, wastewater services, which are currently recovered, or currently there are capital costs recovered under the municipal act in the municipality for those services. Then also look
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stefan. Excellent, excellent presentation. Certainly, thanks to Councillor Ward bringing the motion forward with his background. I know some of us have background in DC charges, and some of us don't, so we continue to learn each time we enter the conversation. So this was an excellent presentation for us to continue to seek the input and steps forward. Any questions or comments from the council team? Okay, well, that's great. Looking forward for I guess our next conversation in November when we start to review and bring forward draft DC findings from the work you've been doing. So thank you for your time tonight, Mr. Stemma.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay, we can move into action requests. So 6A, FES 2024-04 truck replacement. Fire Chief of Director of Fire Services, Jeremy Aldred Hughes. Welcome, Chief.
Are we on? Am I good now? Oh. I didn't read the bottom part there. Read this to talk. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you have a report, an action request with the recommendation of a vehicle replacement for our rescue vehicle that was removed from service in August. Just a little bit of background on it. The truck was originally scheduled and approved in capital to be replaced in 2023 due to its age, and it was deferred in February as there was no chief at the time. August of this year, it was determined that the vehicle was unsafe for the road and it was removed from service. So this vehicle plays an important role in our fire services and emergency response, as Iroquois does not have a rescue truck. So they utilize the Class G vehicles as their rescues to carry equipment and transport personnel to and from emergency scenes. Each pickup truck is upfitted with medical gear, trauma bags, O2 kits, and is a rapid response unit carrying many other rescue tools such as entry tools, exhaust fans, and other things required on not just medical scenes, but fire scenes. There was 5 options that were presented to council with a variety of purchasing options. And option number 2 was the recommended option with the purchase of a 2025 Dodge Durango and the current chief vehicle moving into fleet as it's appropriately equipped with a slide-out tray, 4-door, and cap to currently transport personnel and equipment. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions from the council team? Councillor Smith.
So I asked earlier of the clerk to get a rundown of all the equipment that was at every station. And right now in Iroquois Station, we currently have 2 pickup trucks, because the one truck got moved to Iroquois. So we currently have 2 pickup trucks in Iroquois right now. So do we need those 2 pickup trucks in Iroquois? What is the purpose of having 2 pickup trucks in Iroquois right now?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, both of those pickup trucks are required and were there, have always been there since 2018, when their larger rescue truck that transported 8 people was moved to another station. So they lost a vehicle that supported 8 personnel and larger equipment, and it was split up between the 2 pickup trucks. The one pickup truck does not have a cap on it, and it also supports as a forestry unit, which we put a large water bin in the summertime with rakes, shovels, pumps, and forestry equipment for cornfield fires and such. So, and as far as the calls, so we are on track to have increased call volume this year from last. We're currently sitting at approximately 208 calls. Just over 20% of them are medical calls and calls during the day that G-class operators are running, which accounts for approximately 45 of those calls. 15 of them, we were successful in administering CPR when we responded. And then as far as the forestry, we're sitting around 29 calls this year for that vehicle as well. Also with our cancer prevention, we're really limiting firefighters responding in their personal vehicles because they're taking contaminants in their personal vehicles when they're leaving fire scenes and stuff. So it's very important that we have vehicles at the fire hall that people can operate and transport back and forth to calls.
Yeah, so just to paraphrase just on the question of the vehicles within the fleet. So our current fleet is basically, we have 3 stations. There's 4 vehicles in each station, and the fire service chief / coordinator trainer has a vehicle. So we have currently 13 vehicles within our fleet schedule today. And there's a replacement plan for those in outgoing years, correct?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. So there is a schedule moving forward for that. We are also just starting our fire master plan, which should help direct that a little bit more in the future.
Very good. Councilor Vino.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Okay, I think I can see the thought process behind the need for the vehicle and where the vehicles are allocated and whatnot. But I gotta admit I realize it is the most economical purchase, but an SUV doesn't make sense to me in a rural fire service. Especially, we're talking about moving the ex-chief's pickup truck down into fleet. I kind of see that being a trend moving forward. Why would we not have because the most miles go on to the pickup truck that the chief uses that gets used to go and do inspections and all that kind of stuff. So every time a pickup truck needs to be replaced lower in the fleet, it should be the one that the chief was driving because it'll take the miles off of it for and extend its lifespan. So I just don't see an SUV being a good fit for that. Even it can be pulled out and put into Parks and Rec someday or something like that. So I can see the need, having come from that area. The DZ driver thing is an issue. I mean, it was when I was there, and it probably continues to be, I suspect. Yeah, so that would be my comment. I think the whole idea of whether we purchase a vehicle or not, I think maybe is up in the air a little bit. But if we do, I would really prefer to see it be a pickup truck, personally.
Comments, chief, on why switching to a SUV versus a pickup truck at this point?
As far as, so through you, Mr. Mayor, it is as far as the least impact on budget. It is the trend in the fire service moving forward. I can say using the pickup truck up until now, it hasn't really been utilized as a pickup truck. It's more administration, it's more going out on fire life safety inspections, attending chief meetings, county meetings, dispatch, that sort of thing. And again, with the fire master plan coming, we don't really have 100% for certain what we will be replacing those pickup trucks with in the future. Whether council would like to look at G-class mini rescues, there's many options. So it was based off of what the current chief's vehicle is being used for. It was based off of economics. And that was the decision on it.
Councilor Vino?
The fire master plan, do you have a timeline on that?
We're hoping November, December.
Okay, well, in that case, I think I'd like to see that before making a decision on a vehicle today. If we're not sure the direction of the fire service as a whole and what the fleet's gonna require, I mean, I guess I should ask, are we functioning okay now with that vehicle? I mean, we have been since August.
I've been using my personal vehicle since August
Okay,
to attend fire scenes, to carry my gear, to attend inspections, to attend meetings.
okay. Okay.
Other questions? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I guess I'm just not quite, I guess maybe I'm just old and I come from the time where we didn't have to have 4 vehicles per station. You know, the reason why we started getting pickup trucks, in our fire stations was because, you know, years ago, the council of the day really didn't, support buying, you know, fire apparatuses and good fire apparatuses. So the fire association, the firefighters associations were the ones who actually started purchasing the vehicle. For example, in Morrisburg, we had a 1972 3 on the tree minivan that was in dire strait of being replaced, and the council of the day just wasn't going to replace it. So we went and spent our own association's money to do that. With us being integrated and all 3 stations working together, I just would think there would be a way to come up with a fleet schedule that does not need us to have 3 or 4 pickup trucks within our entire, how many pickup trucks are we gonna have? 4 in total? 1 per station plus a chief's pickup truck?
So 3 Class G vehicles in the stations, plus an administration vehicle.
Correct. So is the issue that it's that the firefighters are not getting their DZ license, and maybe they should be all getting their DZ license, so when we do have medical calls, you know, we don't need to respond in a pickup truck. We can respond in a rescue truck like we used to do when we bought the rescue truck. And that was the purpose of buying rescue trucks and buying the larger pumpers, because I recall we were always sold on, okay, well, this is going to be our frontline vehicle, so it's going to have our SCBA's, it's going to have our medical supplies, it's going to have, and it just seems like we always just keep changing and changing and changing. And I would think with the 3 stations all being kind of collectively one, we would have enough pickup trucks that you could have one, but if we're short, one station doesn't have a pickup truck, there's other ample vehicles that we can respond properly to calls. And if it's that big of a call, we have other 2 fire stations that's gonna respond to the calls that will provide that pickup truck requirement. So I'm kind of like you a little bit, Counselor. I'm a little hesitant about moving forward. I'm just continuously buying new vehicles, when I think we need to really sit down and really go over this master plan and ensure that this is really the proper, you know, direction. We've got a lot of great equipment out there and a lot of big equipment, and it just seems to me we just keep adding fleet and replacing fleet. And I just think we've got enough vehicles. There should be a way to come up with a plan to utilize our current pickup trucks and our current fleet scenario without just having to replace one at this time. Oh, that's kind of my feeling, and I just don't know if I can support buying any replacement vehicles.
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, I think the biggest part is the transportation of staff. So when you have 24 firefighters on a station responding to a call, and you only have 4 pieces of apparatus in that hall, I mean, a pumper's not sitting on the pad waiting for 6 people to fill the seats before they go, so they might leave with 3 or 4 people. The tanker might leave with 3. We still have to have apparatus to get the rest of those people there. And I know we keep calling them pickup trucks, but it's a Class G response vehicle. North Dundas has 9 in their fleet. Our other neighboring departments are moving the same direction. Ottawa's moving the direction. And to your point, Deputy Mayor, we do have a problem with G-Class vehicles, with DZ licensing. And I think it's even more so now than before, because we lost a lot of our experience in the last couple of years. And there wasn't a whole lot of training happening during COVID and people getting licensed. And now we have a big gap where we have a few people that still have a lot of experience and the licensing and the knowledge and the ability to operate those vehicles, and a lot of younger, fresher, 3 years and under that haven't had the experience and haven't obtained a DZ. and some of them choose not to.
Councilor Vino?
I was just gonna, through you, Mayor, I was just gonna suggest, I don't want to shortchange the fire department at all. And I'm open to the changing, geography or whatever you want to call it, the changing of the fire service from what it was in yesteryear. I was gonna suggest, maybe I would say quick, but a committee of the whole meeting just based on fire fleet, but ASAP. To try and get this dealt with before end of year. I'd like to get a better handle on your plan going forward for the fleet and what it looks like. And I like the comments made about what the rest of the fire service around here, and they're similar to us in the rural aspect and size to us. I'd like to know more about what they're doing and what the general consensus is in the fire service around here to get my head wrapped around it. I too don't really want to make a decision tonight, just because I think there's a lot of what ifs that we're talking about around the table, and it's a lot of money. Whether it's, you know, it's a ton of money. So I would suggest if we could potentially get a committee of the whole together for this and deal with it that way, or get some more context. I realize that still puts you in your personal vehicle, and I think that's another matter, but that's kind of the where I'm sitting right now.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I tend to agree. I think there's a bigger picture here that we need to sort out. I don't disagree, Chief, that you're challenged with some training deficiencies. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but challenges, training challenges. But I just don't know if the result is let's just go out and buy another vehicle to resolve that challenge that you're facing. So, yeah, that's, I would support having a bigger picture meeting and potentially waiting for this master plan to get completed before we purchase any further vehicles. Again, you know, and I agree, it's nice to have a comparison of other rural municipal fire departments, but what we don't have is what's the comparison of all their vehicles and how are they set up, right? So I think if we're going to have a picture, we should have the full picture on that and before we make a decision.
Councilor Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So this actually may be a CAO question. So all these medical calls that we're going to be responsible for moving forward, is there a way we can get any compensation for these? Anything? Like if you call for an ambulance, they can get compensated?
Archie?
Can we?
No, there's no cost recovery on that. Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. So that's part of our tiered response agreement with EMS. It's always been in place. Our call volume hasn't really gone up so much as we're spending more time on the calls now. In some instances where we have to wait an hour and a half for an ambulance. So our time on scene has extended in some cases, but the actual number of calls isn't necessarily increasing off trend from previous year over year.
Councilor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So I guess my question is, so if the province is funding, this is to Councilor Smith's point. So I had the same concern because I'm starting to wonder, like, EMS gets paid for their call response. And if we're doing primary call response and we're doing most of the time, I don't know that that's really how it was set up to begin with, like originally, right? So I guess my question is, do we go back to the table with SDG? I guess it's a county question. Bring that back to the shared services agreement and say, like, if we're expected to sit with someone for an hour and a half, and we need another vehicle now, I'm sure other municipalities are facing the same problem. Can we relook at our shared services agreement? At the end of the day, it's gonna cost the taxpayer, you know, like, we're all in the same boat, but, you know, they also get provincial funding at EMS, so I'd like to see, I'd maybe like to see some of that information brought back when we have this bigger discussion, or maybe it's part of the fire master plan, so I apologize if it is, but that's something that I would be interested in looking at, because I think we're providing above and beyond the service, I think that we originally thought we were going to have to, so that's just something I'd like to look at.
Certainly, I'm ready to support the purchase. I think it's in the fleet schedule. It's been there. We continue to review it at budget time, the fleet schedule. And then obviously we approve the purchase throughout the year. But I do recognize that purchasing the right piece of equipment based on the master plan may be the best decision in this case if we're close to having that master plan available. As we accept the master plan, and then we can drive the right purchase. So I think the councilors overall feel they'd like to defer the decision until we have more information based on the master plan. I think that's versus defeating the motion, which is the other option at this point. Councilor Ward?
Can I ask a quick
Yeah, of
question,
course.
Mayor, to the chief? So obviously there was the fleet replacement scheduled in '23, which we deferred until now. And then it looks like there's 65,000 in 2025.
Yep.
Is that for another pickup truck?
Yeah.
Okay. Would there potentially be savings if we just bought them together, or do you know that, or? Probably not. I don't know.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the fleet schedule that you're looking at was not, was there before I arrived.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the initial thought was every 2 years, the chief was getting a new truck, and they were funneling them through to replace all of the ones below. The ones below that are in the stations right now, I mean, one of them only has 50,000 kilometers. I don't know that it needs to be replaced next year. But $65,000 is very inadequate to replace this equipment. A proper pickup truck that we purchased should actually be an SSV or a PPV vehicle, which is a special services or police performance, because the interior is all rubber and vinyl. It's easy for decontamination. It has more robust electrical system, battery and alternator to support the lights, the scene lights, the sirens, the radios, and all that stuff. So what we have right now is, you know, just off the lot stuff that we've kind of patched together. So looking at that 65,000, I mean, once we get a fire master plan and once we go through budget, everything moving forward is going to change regardless.
Thank you.
Councilor Vino?
Just a suggestion for the committee of the whole meeting, if we had it ahead of the master plan, just because it might give some context for the completion of the master plan. Because we were talking about, you know, potentially a pickup truck being ready next year for replacement. Maybe we're going from 2 pickup trucks to 1 mini rescue that is G-class, and then you're moving that pickup truck with 50,000 K into Parks and Rec. Like, there's, I think, a bigger discussion to be had, but I think maybe having the committee of the whole meeting ahead of the completion of the fire master plan, just in my head, seems like it would give some context to the master plan. If that doesn't make sense for staff, then, I mean, I get it as just a suggestion.
CEO Mills?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, what the fire chief has outlined is we're not adding a truck to the fleet, we're replacing a truck that's not operational anymore. If it was another department, so for example, we have vehicles in building and bylaw where we have 3 staff and it's constantly on the go. In that case, we would rather not to have an employee using their own vehicle for obvious reasons. So I'll review this with the chief, if that's the will of council. But him using his own personal vehicle to go to fire scenes is not the solution. There are all sorts of issues that come to mind in terms, you know, personal vehicle liability and otherwise. So we'll come back the next meeting with an alternative, and I'll lead the discussion.
Okay, thank you, CEO Mills. Okay, so the motion is currently deferred. Mover or seconder to defer the motion. Moved by Councilor Vino, seconded by Councilor Ward. All in favor to defer the motion? Deferred. Okay, action item 6B, CAO 2024-04 compressed work week pilot project. CO Mills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you. The report in front of council's for an extension of the compressed work week until the end of the calendar year, 2024. We brought a report to council in June about a pilot program to change the structure of the work week and hours in the municipal office, which is on the second page. Council's aware Monday to Friday used to be 8:30 to 4:30 in the municipal office with staff having an hour for lunch, 35 hours total. For July, August, and most of September, it's been 8:30 to 5 with a half an hour for lunch, Monday to Thursday, and 8:30 to 12 on Fridays. Same amount of hours. There are a bunch, so what we did when we implemented the hours of work, the compressed work week, is we asked staff to certainly compile a lot of statistics. You'll see those attached to the report. Of note, yes, there are a lot less calls and asks on Fridays. Yes, it is a half day. But certainly we noticed as staff throughout the year, and why we started to have the discussions, is there was not a lot of walk-in traffic or calls period on Friday afternoons. It's required staff to work collaboratively together. The feedback, certainly on the staff side, has been extremely positive. There have been a few concerns that have come forward through council members informally, the odd call to a staff member about service. But my response to that would be, and staff would hear this, is when someone calls you, call them back. When someone emails you, email them back. Make sure it's not the status quo, that we go the extra mile, and everybody here is. So the recommendation through you, Mr. Mayor, is to continue to work through the compressed work week till the end of the year, and then we'll come back with a report to council on how it's going, with consideration for it to be permanent.
Very good. Questions, comments? Councillor Wood?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to say that I support this, and, you know, for those that may have an issue with it, I think it's quite common now to see a compressed work week. We're not the only municipality that's doing it. In fact, we actually have hours on Friday. There are some municipalities that don't. And then also, if you think, you know, I went to my dental clinic this week and tried to schedule a Friday appointment, and they're not open on Fridays, and so they work Monday to Thursday. So I think it's becoming quite the common practice. So I'm really happy that it went well with staff, and we're able to figure it out with all of our residents. And yeah, that's all I have.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Whenever this first came up the first time, I said I was going to vote against it, and I still feel the same. I just feel that as a level of service, we need to be open on Fridays. Maybe for a few months in the summer, I could see maybe just trying it, but for 10 months of the year, we should be, at least 10 months of the year, work till Friday afternoon, or work at 4:30.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Yeah, I think over the 3 months, I've heard from two people ask me about the Friday afternoons. I was just like complaining that they just questioned, hey, you're not open? I said, no, we extended our hours during the week, so we're open till 5. So that was a benefit that I've heard a lot of times. People that work till 4:30 out of town can make the municipal office by 5 o'clock as well. So I think extending the hours without adding any additional cost was a benefit. To add on, taxes are due this Friday. We are extended our hours all day Friday for special occasions. So for those circumstances where someone might be paying their tax bill, we are here Friday afternoon. So we keep that in mind on certain events throughout the year. So any other comments, questions? So I have a motion. The Council of South Dundas receive report CA 2024 regarding the extension of the compressed work week program. The council approves the recommendation and authorizes the extension of a compressed work week to staff throughout the administration till the end of December 2024. And the council directs staff to adopt a bylaw to a permanent compressed week to be brought back for future consideration. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, COO Mills. Continuing CAAO 2024-05 Animal Control Agreement Extension, COO Mills.
So speaking of extensions in 3 months, here, this is animal control. The municipality is in a joint agreement with 3 other municipalities, South Stormont, North Dundas, and North Stormont. We are working on a long-term solution to both animal control as well as kennel. We understand that a few of the other municipalities have moved towards solving that. In the south, there are not too many alternatives, which includes South Dundas and South Stormont. We're working closely with South Stormont on alternative, but it's not there yet, in discussions with the CEO and staff at South Stormont. So we're looking for an extension for services with Kevin Castleman until December 31st, but it's a big item for staff that we're going to have to address and work on, and it'll be potentially a bigger budget item for discussion in December and January.
Very good. Any questions, comments on the extension? Seeing none, I have a motion that Council South Dundas authorizes the CEO to execute an extension of the Animal Control Officer Agreement until December 31st, 2024. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, CEO Mills. Okay, moving to 6D, ES 2024-11, Regional Waste, Non-Eligible Items. Director, Manager, Jeff Ivan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you'll find the report for the Blue Box program, focusing on non-eligible sources. So as you know, in Ontario, they will transfer to the Extended Producer Responsibility, abbreviation CPR, model for January 2026 with the implementation of a standardized Blue Box program across Ontario. So in SDNG, including South Dundas here, the responsibility for curbside recycling, meaning our Blue Box program collection, will be transferring to the producers as of January 1st, 2025, meaning that the municipality will not be responsible for these services, the eligible portion of these services after December 31st of 2024. So with the IC&I, which is industrial, commercial, and institutional participation in the curbside Blue Box program, it was not well understood due to the lack of data. Any property not designated residential based on Municipal Property Assessments Corporation, your MPAC codes, is considered industrial, institutional, and commercial. So under the new Blue Box regulations, Circular Materials has no legal obligation to collect Blue Box material from ineligible sources during or after transition. Ineligible sources include industrial, commercial properties, not-for-profit organizations, municipal buildings or facilities, daycares, places of worship, campgrounds and trailer parks without permanent or seasonal households, and commercial farms. A commercial farm is a farm that does not have a residential house on it. So it's your grain elevators, or if it's a farm out in the middle of a field and their house is further up the road, that would be considered a commercial farm. So properties with mixed uses, such as properties with both a residential with a commercial unit, will be eligible, meaning any new facility that has a commercial unit on the main floor and residential on floors second, third, and fourth, though the second, third, and fourth floors will be deemed eligible. They could place their Blue Box at the curb, and any of the commercial residents on the main floor will not be, because it's a commercial residence based off of our IC&I collections. So while these materials are generation from the commercial portion, such as properties will be ineligible. So Circular Materials has provided municipalities with the option of servicing ineligible sources through their contractor on the following conditions. Condition A would be collection would be provided during the transition period. Option B would be South Dundas agrees to pay the full cost of collecting and processing this material. C would be South Dundas is responsible for negotiating with Circular Materials for the collection contractor. And D would be after a list of non-eligible sources is established for the community prior to its transition, addresses can be removed from the list, but none can be added. So our discussion and our options for tonight would be administration through the Regional Waste Management Working Group, which is there's a representative from each of the local municipalities, and I am our representative for South Dundas for this working group. It has considered 3 options for the ineligible portion of the transition period. So it would be, your options would be option A, continue servicing through the circular materials contractor. This is the contractor that has won our said area for collection of the Blue Box program. So we could continue doing that. We would have to, an offer to provide a quote for non-eligible sources would be extended to HGC Management, who is the collection corporation for the transition period. This cost is unknown as South Dundas staff are working on compiling a list of non-eligible sources. So through myself and the clerk's department, we've come up with a list of commercial entities, institutional and commercial, institutional, and industrial that are not eligible in this process. So option B would be pursue a competitive RFP process. This is not optional due to the fact that it would have to be then another third-party collection agency that would then go around on another said collection date so that the materials don't get intertwined. Option C would be discontinue the service. And that is what I'm recommending at this time, is to discontinue the collection service of the non-eligible Blue Box material. So at that point, property owners would bear the full responsibility of arranging for Blue Box material, collection logistically and financially, as prescribed in OREG 103/94. To communicate this option, administration would send a notification to each ineligible address explaining the change in service and outlining service providers. It is expected that there will be private collection is not arranged for existing ineligible participants. Most of this Blue Box material will end up in the garbage stream. So I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Thank you, Manager Hyman. Yeah, and I think maybe a good recycler may just take some of it home if, you know, it's a small amount, but that becomes a major problem for sure. I know through AMO and OEMC conferences in the last month, a hot topic for sure, and we really need the provincial government to step up. Councillor Smith has asked for the resolution to be pulled on this item. This is very challenging, and this is not where we want to be making a decision whether we're going to pick up some Blue Box material from a local store or business in town. But questions, comments on people's feelings? Councillor Vino?
Yeah, I just want to say, I agree, through you, Mayor Broad, I agree the taxpayer should not be paying for these industrial businesses recycling. However, I am one of those businesses, and I can tell you that unfortunately, this is going to have an adverse impact on what we're trying to do as a society in recycling, because my recycling now that always went out on Tuesdays is going to go in the dumpster, which I don't think is right, but we don't have another avenue to get rid of it now. So I'm really hoping that the Ontario government figures that out, because that's a backward step, if you ask me. But I agree, taxpayers, South Dundas taxpayers should not be paying to remove recycling from my door.
Right. So I think we're in agreement with your recommendation that we will discontinue all curbside collection of Blue Box materials effective January 1st, 2025. So I have a motion that we accept report ES 2024 from the Council of South Dundas, authorize the discontinuation. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Uh, 6E, PF 2024-13 permit, building permit application 2024, Director of Parks, Recreations and Facilities, David Jansen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in front of you tonight is a report with regards to some building permit applications. So as you may or may not be aware, there's a big change coming to the building code here at the end of the year. In the report, I outlined some of the timelines that the OBC is implementing for it. So basically, at the end of the year, the new building code will come into effect, and there's only a transition period of about 3 months. The facilities team here is sitting on about 2.5, soon to be 3 shovel-ready projects that have been designed to the old code. So we're looking to start the permit application now, because as of January 1st, if we submit them for permit and they still say that they were designed to the old code and we fall out of the transition period, then we're sending them back to the consultants to have them change that date, which is kind of an unknown. It could be that they just changed the date and there was no changes in the big code, but that's 1,000 pages of change, and you take a project like the arena, those drawings are 45 pages and the specification's 1,000 page. I don't really want to take the risk of too many engineering consulting charges versus just applying for the permit now, so.
Yes, any future engineering charges by engineers is nice to be avoided. Especially when we have an avenue. So this is good to bring this forward and forward thinking for sure on this. Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
It's a good thing I don't work for an engineering company
Very good,
anymore.
yeah. Very good. Okay. So I have a motion that, oh, sorry, Councilor Swell, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So whenever we apply, so say it's December 19th, we apply for a building permit, how long is it good for?
So a building permit it does not expire once you start construction.
Okay.
But isn't there is a lapse time usually?
Is it a year or?
So the moment you start construction, the building permit doesn't expire. There
Okay.
are avenues through the building code if there is no activity for a long period of time that our building official can go and say, you have an open permit, it's been open for set period, and then there are steps that they can follow to close the permit, so.
So it stays open, we could close it though.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we
Okay.
could make steps to close it, yeah, so it's reverse. Yeah, okay, good. I have a motion that council accept PF 2024-13 to complete the building permit application for 3 shovel-ready projects for the municipality facilities as outlined. Moved by Councilor Ward, seconded by Councilor Smith. All in favor, thank you very much. Okay, 6F, PF 2024-14, ExploreNet Recreation Perfect Mind Renewal, Director Jansen.
Thank you, Mayor. So in front of you, council, is a report with regards to Perfect Mind or Explore Recreation, which is our booking software that we use primarily on the recreation booking side right now. We've been using it for about 2 years to great success. It's led to, it's modernized our booking software. It's allowed, a mom at home at 8 o'clock to register for a program rather than having to come in during our hours of operation, which don't align with everybody. It's also allowed on the administrative side. We used to get a paper registration. We used to have to make the attendance sheets, file all that. So there's been a benefit to both the resident and on the administrative side for staff. Our contract has come up. I did negotiate down a little bit with the provider as I felt the increase was a little steep, but we got it down to a 20% increase. And other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Questions, comments? Councilor Smith?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, what was the original amount that they were asking for?
So through you, Mayor, brought it, originally it was 6, they went for 75, and we didn't quite meet in the middle, let's just put it that way.
Thank you, Director. So I have a motion that Council of South Dundas authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation Facilities to execute a contract extension with Perfect Mind, Inc. for a 3-year term herein attached to this report. Moved by Councilor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Director Jansen. Okay, bylaws, 7A, 2024-65 SDG Library Lease Agreement. Director Jansen or, yeah, Director Jansen.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in front of you tonight is a bylaw to execute our lease agreement with the libraries. Our lease did expire back in 2022. There was a little bit of discussion. I'm not exactly sure, to tell you the truth, the history of who implemented that they wanted to get some standardization across the lower tiers, whether it started at the county or one of the lower tiers. But a working group was made and we worked to basically rewrite the entire lease with a representative from each of the lower tiers and the library services. We basically came up with as standard of a lease as we could. Well, obviously there's a few things that are site specific in everybody's lease. But other than that, the group worked together and we came up with this. It's already gone through county council. I know it's gone through the library board already. But other than that, this is our lease renewal for all 3 of our locations for the foreseen, I think it's a 3-year lease.
Very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
with an increase in dollars and CPI attached, right? So
Yeah.
extra money flowing back to us based on our square footage. Questions or comments? Councilor Ward?
I just noted,
Yeah.
Through you, Mayor, in Schedule C, David, you might want to change just because of our new discussion here that I just noticed there's recycling in there. So we obviously, I'll let you guys sort that out. But
Very good. I will make sure, I'll bring that back to the,
where applicable, yeah.
I will take that back to the board as well, as I am a SDG Library Committee board member. I have a motion, the bylaw 2024-65 being a bylaw authorizing lease agreement with SDG Library Board be read past open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Director. Okay, boards and committees. Well, talking about the library, we did have a library board meeting 2 weeks ago, and certainly we reviewed our circulation, recapped all of our summer activities. The TD summer reading program was excellent. Obviously, continue to talk about other services, but to note, SDG Reads, which is an event for everyone in the communities to either buy or take out a book and read, and then meet the author. And he's coming October 7th to Avonmore. There's tickets available through the library. It's called The African Samurai, and the author Craig Shreve will be in Avonmore. So if you're interested, to read the book and come see and meet Craig, and he can talk about how he wrote the book. So as a continued advocate for the libraries, that's my spiel today. 8C, County Council, September 16th. We had our annual staff recognition ceremony where we recognize customer service, safety, and as well as years of service. We had a resolution to support the Blue Box regulation, which we're going to talk in 10 tonight. We appointed MNP as our auditors for 2024. And discussion on the bike accident on Highway number 2 as we continue to think about bike paths and those things. So that was our county council agenda in a synopsis. Moving to 8D, Economic and Community Development meeting last week. Spent pretty much our meeting talking about our gala. So gala upcoming on September 25th, Friday, which is to recognize all our business award winners and our volunteers. So the committee have picked the winners, so they're being notified. So they could be there. And our next step is organizing all the volunteer groups. So volunteer groups are organized, so we'll be putting out invitations and letting all the volunteer groups in the community know. That's an opportunity for you to come and get recognized and enjoy some small treats and a guest speaker. And the guest speaker for that night is some folks from St. Lawrence College, and they're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it affects your work and play and all that. So an excellent prelude into the way things are going. So looking forward to that gala, and we'll continue to talk and advertise recognizing our business award winners and then our volunteers in the community. And then I'll start on that. Okay, very good. 8E, Morrisburg Waterfront Committee. Councillor Vino.
Yes, we had a meeting on the 17th. First order of business was an update on our third and final movie night on the 17th. The weather wasn't great, so it was moved to the arena. Proved to not be a great location. It seems the outdoor movie nights are better, so we learned something that night. So we're starting fundraising for a multi-use pad. And so we have a working group that we put together for that we had a meeting the night before the waterfront meeting. And it was extremely good. The group, I know Councillor Ward sits with us on that one, and I think she'll agree that the group is extremely good. And our first event is going to be a New Year's Eve party at the Legion for our first fundraising event. So mark your calendars for that. We talked about some grants and funding. Some of our members, along with municipal staff, are working on a few different grant applications. I think 2 of them are completed. So we went through that. Our boat launch signage replacement, we're changing the old wooden sign that's been at the boat launch. It's all deteriorated, so it's going to look more like the rest of our municipal signs around the municipality. October 3rd and 4th, we have shoreline plantings going on. I believe, is it 9 a.m. start each day? 10? It is 10. Yes. So if anybody wants to come out and help with some shoreline plantings, we'll be doing that both October 3rd and 4th. We approved as a committee the purchase of a new set of soccer nets for the Earl Baker Park area. So those are gonna be getting fabricated over the winter and installed once it dries up in the spring. So we'll have a new soccer field out here in Norbica Park. So that's exciting. We've had an idea about putting a sign with some flagpoles and some directional signs and whatnot on the corner of the, it would be Crookshank and Lakeshore. And in our discussion, we decided to defer that. We're going to look to put a meeting, we're looking to do it jointly with the Economic Development and Community Group, because we feel that that's a good, you know, to come together and do that together as one, I think is
So we could
better.
engage the Legion as well, because they have
And the
signs
Legion,
there.
exactly. So we've deferred that till we get a better working group together. And the final thing was we started discussions, and our next meeting is going to be basically based on this, is our, we're resurrecting the New Year's campfire, bonfire, with the Christmas tree bonfire that the Morseburg Fire Department used to do. So that's going to be Saturday, January 4th. And so anybody who has a real Christmas tree is welcome to bring it there and dispose of it. And we'll be having a fire with hot chocolate and hot dogs and everything for the community on that day. So we're looking forward to planning that. So that's the gist of our meeting on the 17th. Yes.
Very good. And I think I mentioned this one time before, but I do know the Playground Committee have recently met some of their members, so don't forget to, you know, if they have an opportunity to engage with the Playground Committee, please, good, that's good. I know I mentioned last time, so that would just popped in my mind about that, yeah. Okay, South Nation Conservation Board meeting, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So there was a meeting on September the 19th. We have a new board member there, so it's Mike Tarnowski. Mike is the new mayor of Russell Township. He joined the board after the former mayor left to go work for a municipality, Pierre Leroux. Something else that they're doing. So they're working with currently at Riverside Cedar Campground as well. So just to update their shoreline mapping and stuff. So that's perhaps another indication that maybe St. Lawrence Parks Commission is looking to start thinking about the development game going down the way, because they're starting to get their ducks in a row for development future, like in the future. Ongoing work at Two Creeks. There's a new 1 kilometer loop is open. I've not been there yet, but it's like all stone dust. The whole path is all stone dust and everything for walking on it. And I asked today, it is going to be groomed in the winter, so anybody can go there. The parking lot's going to be plowed. The trail's going to be groomed for walking all winter, and it's going to be available. So
That may be a good, maybe let's direct the clerk, we should do a communication posting with say the South Nation on some of these things they've done and doing or whatever, to let our residents know kind of what's happening. That might be a good communication we could put it, so that, because I have had a couple calls.
because it was closed earlier this week. I think it's because they were just doing some work in the. like,
Yeah, it was
general work
closed
in the-
again this week
in the
again,
parking lot,
during the day, yeah.
I think it's open now. So, and they're gonna be doing ongoing work all winter as well.
Right,
So they're doing some work there, so it's looking better.
Great. Oh, that's great.
So, and also, the CAO, Carl Bickerdike, met with some ministry staff on August 29th, just to try and see if there's any new direction, anything on this whole wetland mapping
Right.
issue, and basically nothing new to report.
Nothing new.
It doesn't look like anything, there's nothing imminent coming. so.
Right, and I think we heard that at the DFA breakfast from
Yeah,
MPP Quinn,
Yeah,
indicated it
nothing
was
imminent.
completely stopped. Okay, good.
So.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Ward, Youth Working Group.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So we also had a meeting actually just before council today. So we're working towards an event in the new year. We're going to do like a youth health and wellness event. So looking forward to doing that during the day, maybe on a lunch hour while kids are in school, and schools can participate in it, and, you know, free programming events for them to attend, health and wellness oriented, like yoga and arts and crafts. So they're doing really well, and we're moving forward. So looking forward to that event. I'll share more details once we have them.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. And lastly, 8H, Iroquois Waterfront Committee, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So as it's reported, we had a meeting on September 18th. A couple of things that we discussed was we're also advancing on some shoreline plantings. We're going to prepare some flower beds on October 19th, I believe in the morning, but that's to be confirmed. And then another discussion we had was I informed them that council did support the committee reviewing the cameras, the waterfront cameras, and gathering up some information for them and for us to make a decision if that's what we want to move forward with. And then the other big topic was really the budget for next year. We're starting to think our way through what programs and what purchases we want to potentially get. One of the things that's interesting, we talked about it last year, but I think we're going to try to resurrect it, is the accessibility mat that goes into the water along the beach, and buying a specialized chair that's easier. Obviously, you need a little bit wider tires and bigger tires for that to go in and out of the water and stuff. So that's one of the programs that we're going to look at. And then we did have a discussion about accessibility for washrooms. So David's going to look into that and check that out and see what kind of costs the municipality would incur to upgrade. But I think that's in our opinion, that's a movement afoot, is accessibility, access for everybody. So yeah, so it was a good meeting.
Excellent.
Thank
It
you.
says September, back at lots of meetings and moving everybody's agenda forward. So thank you, all council team, for those. Under 9, consent agenda. So we have A, charity hockey game, Crime Stoppers Lions alumni. C, resolution of Blue Box from SDG counties. D, resolution Tay Valley, jurisdiction of Ontario Ombudsman. E, resolution Tay Valley province remove wetland protection for Eastern Ontario. F, resolution Township of Springwater Growth and Economic Viability Ad Hoc Committee resolution. G, resolution Town of Tillsonburg cellular coverage. H, resolution Municipality of Tweed Canada Community Building Fund. I, legislation amendment City of Brantford improved municipal codes for conduct and enforcement. J, letter of support Township of Brunel, Lindock, Raglan, support Ontario Forest Sector. And K, letter of support Township of Brunel, Lindock, Raglan, sustainable funding for OPP small rural municipalities. I have a motion that we accept all the items under the general consent agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion items. Under 10A, Senior Fitness Program Fees, Director of Parks, Recreations, Facilities, David Jansen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So tonight I prepared a KAR for you, council, with regards to a little bit the fee bylaw, but specifically a lot of it resolves around our low-impact fitness, or our senior fitness class. South Dundas has previously offered this fitness class for free. It runs Tuesday and Thursday. We run 2 separate sessions from 12 to 1 and 1 to 3:30. So the participants, obviously, we came in and are, with the new fee bylaw, adding some consistency. There is a fee for the class, and the participants do have some concerns with regards to that. I did attach all their letters into the report for council to review as well. The overall, a lot of the theme is that the municipality, a lot of it's sunk costs that we already absorb, and that the seniors are on fixed incomes and struggling in that sense, so we're adding an extra cost to them. And that the health benefits, which none of these I disagree with. Everybody, you know, money is tight for many people. The benefits of recreational programming, obviously, the rec department is fully aware of those. So I'm not here to discuss those, and I fully support, you know, senior fitness and all that stuff in the community. The class was taught by a volunteer instructor. So that I think is some of the disconcernment is that the volunteer instructor does teach the class, and that's slightly different. We have about, of our 30 to 40 programs, we have about, well, 2 or 3 who are run by volunteer instructors, and I'd say there's 1 or 2 other ones that are run by instructors who are, I would say, are very undercompensated for the program that they're running, so they're doing it heavily subsidized themselves. On the other side of that, we do have fees in the recreational world are basically our only way to offset our costs. Other than that, it's pure taxpayer funding. We're kind of heading towards a user pay world, or there has to be some balance between subsidization and user pay in the municipal world. So whether you're using the arena, whether, I just bought airplane tickets the other day, and at the bottom, there's a airport tax on the bottom of it. You see a lot of these, user pay systems are heading, whether it be in our recreational program. This was the only free program that we offered in South Dundas previously. Outside of that, I did break down some of the costs for council to review. So in about items A to E there, you'll see I put some higher level numbers, the deficit that the recreational programming budget runs, some of the costs that doesn't include, whether that be marketing, staff time, facility costs, some of those costs. And then in items F, G, and H, I tried to break it down a little bit more in like a per session basis, whether you take our facility rental costs and, I include the insurance costs, but obviously the municipality has a huge umbrella insurance. So we are able to have like our Bordeaux, so we can sell renters insurance. So I was trying to use some of those costs just to give you guys some costs associated with running these programs. Outside of that, I'll move into sort of the discussion and options that I outlined. I included the fee bylaw. I included the entire fee bylaw. We do currently have it as low impact fitness at $5.45 per hour. We do it per hour basically just to help with consistency, because some of our programs are 8 weeks, some of them are 16 weeks. And obviously we can't charge the same per session, so we do it based off the length of the session. An adult class of similar nature would be about $6.90 for a fitness program. So our senior or our low impact class would be cheaper already by about 27% than an adult class. I know on the recreation side, one of our classes that we run into the most complaints with this is yoga. We offer more of a regular yoga class, and we offer like a more low impact yoga. And there's participants who take both, but they have different prices because we do subsidize what would be considered the low impact yoga already. So that's one where we kind of already see this. Outside of that, the municipality would be a typical program like this. We'd like to see it operating as per our municipal policy. We'd like to have about 20 to 25 participants. So just to use that in your guys' calculations of, what the fee versus the costs are, I sort of tried to include a little bit of that information for you. Outside of that, the fees are set by council, so you guys can decide, at the end of the day, I think this decision kind of comes down to a level of subsidization that council's comfortable with and the level of user pay. So I kind of outlined 4 options for you. Option 1 would be just sticking with the fee bylaw. The pro to this is it adds consistency among all of our programs, whether you're taking that, this program, whether you're taking a different program here, they're all sort of priced exactly the same. The benefit to this is that we have consistency and we're not, if we do one program for free, what says that we shouldn't do the other program for free? The con to this is that this program, based on our discussion, probably won't operate anymore in the municipality. Option 2, just obviously if we do have a volunteer instructor, our costs are slightly lower. So our level of subsidization is slightly less. So the option I outlined there would just be providing a 20 to 25% discount, and I'd probably just work into the fee bylaw. I wouldn't put it in for a specific class, but I'd just say if we have a volunteer instructor, we take the regular fee and we reduce it by the percentage that council is comfortable with. Option 3 would be, that I outlined, is to continue with the free program. And then option 4 I offered would be to no longer run it as a municipal program. This group is very vocal and very strong, and they could just become almost like a club, rent the facility. We could look into waiving fees, stuff like that, and then they would lose some of the other services that we provide, whether it be registration, insurance, marketing. It wouldn't be a municipal program anymore. So that's just a 4th option I wanted to throw in there, and something that we could consider proposing to this group. Outside of that, I know there's lots of information in there, so if council has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
Thank you, Director Jansen, and thank you for the level of detail in the report for the discussion. Questions, comments from the council team? Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Quick question for you. We don't charge for public skating, right?
Currently, we do not charge
We
for
do
public, many other municipalities do.
No,
For us, it's kind of
I understand.
it's a collection item thing. is
Yeah,
what
it's a
the problem
collection
is.
item, but we don't charge for that, right? And I suspect we don't charge for that because it really is for the broader of the people in South Dundas. It's not like a private club that's renting, you know, some space, like, you know, we've had some private clubs ask for a reduction of fees for ice time, but that's kind of you register with that club versus, you know, anyway. So in this particular class, how is it run? Can people just show up that day, or do you have to pre-register? Do you have to?
So through you, Mayor Broad, it would be through our registration system that we just renewed. So you pre-register for the course similar to you would any of our courses that we offer. So it uses the exact same system. We track attendance. We do all that type of
It's
stuff.
open for everybody, though.
To a capacity limit.
To a capacity limit, it's open for everybody. Okay. Okay.
Open to everybody of any age?
That we do have we try and define senior loosely, and that's kind of why we're going to low impact. I think it's currently set at like 50 in the booking system, but don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. But we aim for more low impact and accessible because it can, you know, age is just a number as it's, so.
Okay. I may comment again, but I'd like to hear from
I'll give you
others.
the right to ask for the
Thank you.
questions. Councillor Vito.
Yeah, I guess I'll just be straight to the point of where I see this. The point was made that this historically was the only free programming that the municipality had. So in my eyes, I don't see an issue with grandfathering one program like this, and I think that doesn't set a precedence, because I agree, I like to get the consistency with everything that we're charging. However, to do one like this, I think it benefits a lot of a large group of people, and I think especially having a volunteer present the program, I guess, if that's, or teach, or I don't know what you call that, or administer. Instruct, yeah, adds to that. So I'm in favor of grandfathering this course or program as it always has been. And, but this one only, just like I say, I know we don't want to set a precedent with having everybody else starting to come and ask, you know, this should be free, that should be free. This one's always been free and it's the only one. So I think that's that's my position, so.
Councillor Ward.
Okay, there we go. Thanks, Mayor. So, I'm pretty big on community building, and I think this is a big part of that community building. So I think like free seniors fitness programming is not only about fitness, it's also about mental health and well-being, right? So this is an opportunity for a large group of seniors to get together to discuss not only fitness, but other things that are going on. I very much support the idea of it being free. I'm leaning towards option 4, and the reason why I'm leaning towards that, which is them renting and becoming a club, like a seniors fitness club, is one, council can look at reducing the fees or whatever, the rental, or waiving the rental costs, but they can also still keep the size of the program, because it's my understanding that it's not 25 people, it's much larger than that, correct?
Correct.
And I think through our programming, it's 25 people. So I think, in my opinion, it would fit their needs better, and then through grants and donations, we could waive that fee. That's kind of where I'm sitting. I think it's really important to continue it, just because that's the majority of our community, and I feel that, you know, it's a great service to offer, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Councillor Vito.
So, through Mayor to Councillor Ward, so would you be in favor maybe of the municipality keeping the programming going until such a time that they can organize?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Brad. So it was my understanding that they weren't looking to do a session this winter at this point. So if they are looking to do a session, maybe that's a question for Director Jansen. Are they looking to do a session?
I don't have the perfect answer for you.
I know in speaking to,
I think I'm getting a little bit of a nod from the back of the room.
no,
but-
speaking to some of the members today by phone, I think, obviously, there's feelings involved, and I think if we had a resolution tonight to figure something out, then that would be approach to the instructor to do something. So, you know, obviously when we implemented the fees, it's like, well, I'm not doing it if there's fees, so we're not doing it. So that was kind of like,
Okay.
you know, you know, and then, you know, obviously, you know, my response was, well, you know, bring it to council, and the council ultimately has a decision on fees. So that's kind of how it kind of played out here in August or whatever. So here we are.
So I guess to Councillor Vino's point then, do we know what's left in the grants and donations budget I guess that question's for Treasury. I don't know if they're
Well,
following.
through you, Mayor Broad, to Councillor Ward, I think most of what they're looking for is an in-kind donation.
Okay,
Because,
so then if we
like,
don't need to
gave
approve.
free,
Okay,
it's like the only other cost I can see is the 384 per hour for insurance type of thing,
Yeah.
like those types of costs, but those are minimal.
okay. Yeah, so then I would be in favor of just letting them have the facility that they're looking to rent and going that way instead of through our programming, but that's my perspective. So starting to, whenever they want to start, sure.
Counselor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Broad. There's a couple things. So whenever we set the new fee bylaw in February, like whenever it was passed, when was it communicated to the instructor of the group that there was now a charge?
So through you, Mayor Broad, that was brought up in the, at the beginning of this year's session planning, so in early August.
Early on, okay. So I just wanted, because like there's currently no programming going right now, and I just wonder if it would have been communicated earlier in the year, if maybe, it's just too bad that we couldn't have got this figured out before the fall session started, because we could have still had programming running right now, and now it looks like maybe it could be gone for this winter, or maybe at least until January. I guess that's kind of my only comment on that. The other thing is that I really do think if we were gonna do it, that option 4 would be the best, because they're not using our booking system, or they're not gonna, if they're not gonna use our booking system, if they're not gonna use our insurance, if the only cost really to us is just give them a free rental, then that would be, I think that's the only way to go, just because we're completely out of it. They're not using really any of our services other than just a free room for a few hours a week.
Counselor Reno?
Just to Councillor Ward's point, I think just to get my head around it, the main idea about having them go outside to their own group is that they can then exceed the 20 or 25 limit. So then you can get the whole group in there.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going, because I believe the objective of the recreation department is to keep the class sizes minimal, and I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I think if, the participation rate in this program is very large from my understanding, and so I just think that, letting them shape their own programming and letting them, maybe it becomes more than a fitness class at some point, but allowing them to have that avenue to do that, I think we could leave it in their hands, and that's why I would be comfortable with waiving that rental fee and letting them develop their own, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, so I would support that option number 4 as well then. I like that idea.
Final comments, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. So if we went with option 4, they have to still go and get their own insurances, correct?
So it would be just like a typical, so if Mark St. Pierre wanted to have a birthday party at the Civic Center, you could rent the Civic Center, you'd have to fill out a rental agreement, and part of it, you have 3 options for insurance. You can either purchase it through the municipality, provide your own, or you can provide your own specific, or you can extend your homeowner's policy, and that's completely up to the renter.
So then there's a cost to that.
Yeah.
So then it comes back that it's not free. It's going to be a cost to it,
But the,
correct?
The,
Yeah, listen, I think we're just making this way more messier than it needs to be. I'm always been a big proponent of youth and, no disrespect, retired people of an elderly age. And I don't think there's, I'm not talking about the 50-year-olds. I'm talking about the elderly that's been retired for quite a while. We have a program. I actually like, Councillor Vino, your original thought was, we've been offering up this program for free. We've been offering up, I believe it's Mrs. Wagemans that conducts the class. Am I wrong? No, different lady? Okay, sorry, my bad. Oh, my bad, I apologize. But if there's that much demand, then maybe they could just have more classes. If we really want to get restrictive of 20, 25 people. I just think sometimes a municipality offers services that we do not need to get reimbursed for. And I think in this case, when we're talking about elderly and we're talking about health and wellness and the social aspect towards it, I think this is one where it's not a private club. And I think as soon as you make it a private club, then it becomes a private club, there's more onus on, we already have an administrative process in which people can register, which, David, correct me if I'm wrong, it's an easy process, it's running smoothly. So why muddy the water? I think we should just continue doing what we've always done. And again, if there's an issue with the class size, I think that's a good problem to have. We'll figure out how we can get more space or how we can get more time for them if the instructor wants to provide that service. But I think we just go with it and just leave it as is. And I would support option, I guess it's C?
3.
3, thank you, for that. Thank you.
Councilor Vino?
I agree, we're splitting hairs. I want to provide this class for free, whatever the best avenue to do that is. So and I think I would leave that to Director Jansen to say what the best, I kind of agree, I think now with Deputy Mayor, is that the way we've been doing it has been working. So,
Sure, Councilor Ward?
So yes, I just want it to be free, but to be clear, I also want to make sure that we're not going against any of the policies that we've already set, because we as council have set programming policies. So if we're saying, whatever, 20, 25 people, you want to have 15 classes, whatever, Director Jansen, whatever works. I just know that was kind of the hesitation, was that the class size was an issue and insurance, and so I'm comfortable with letting staff make that decision too.
I think it's our decision, it's not. Pick an option.
Right.
It's our decision, but we have a class cap of 25, so
understood.
that's understood. Okay. Councilor Smith?
So, just what would the limit actually be of people that could attend, say, a class at the Civic Center in Iroquois until it becomes too much? Like, there's obviously got to be a limit, like a room limit.
So the capacity, if you rent the facility, in your facility agreement, it says 163 people.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
But that's for like a dance club.
Okay.
Like if you're like the Halloween dance for the fire association.
Okay.
That's the like, that is fire code regulated. That's,
Okay.
So then why do we have it? What is this capacity thing then?
so through you, Mayor Broad, it's
It's
to,
insurance?
it's to ensure the health and safety of the participants. It's so think about sending your kids to school. Would you send your kid to a classroom with 45 students in it and expect the same level of education? Or would you send them to a class of 25? So it's maintaining the quality and safety of our programs.
Yeah, I'm not sure yourself.
Yeah, so we do, so we have received feedback that people didn't like the class when it was overfull. So, because that's also the scenario, right? Where there's- Yeah, right.
if it's been
So-
working at 20 to 25 for 4 years.
So it's over 25 people, yes. So that's why I was proposing that we just, because if it continues to be over 25, I mean, that's why I'm saying Director Jansen maybe can reach out to the instructor. If the instructor wants to offer more sessions, then maybe she can keep the class sizes smaller. But if it's,
Through, I think, if option 4 is the answer to the, we can keep going around, but if you did option 4, you'd still end up with a free program, and it just pulls the municipality out of the picture.
Option C.
Okay, so we'll have a vote, so we'll have a strong vote, option 3. We'll have a strong vote. Yeah, option 3, where it's free as it continued the same way, but it's free. Option 3. Mark?
It's been working.
but I have a question.
Sure.
So if we, bear with me in the back there for a minute, because I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the CAO. So if we approve, sorry, through the mayor to you, if we approve something that goes against existing policies, can we do that as a council, or do we have to amend I know this is,
We have to amend it. We have to
Yeah.
come back to the next meeting.
right, so that's why I'm just saying, it's going to come back again, and it's going to delay the program all over again. So that's why I just,
Well, the meeting's in 2 weeks, and we'll know what the outcome is. Director Jansen could start to work with the instructor. We don't even know if the instructor is willing to, come back. Councilor Vino?
Through you, Mayor. I think the idea, obviously, is we want this to be free, but we don't have a good idea of how the best avenue to go about that is. So why don't we bring this back in 2 weeks with a report on the best two options based on everything that we've talked about? It'll defer this by 2 weeks, but at the end of the day, we're gonna have a free program that doesn't go against our policies. Like, clearly, we've been going against our policies and it's been fine, but that's until something happens. And so now we've stumbled upon an issue, and so I know it is what it is. So that would be my vote. Bring it back in 2 weeks with A or B or a 1 or 2, and then we'll go from there. That's my vote.
Councilor Smith?
So I was just gonna say, this is a discussion item, so technically we can't vote on this tonight anyway, right?
Well,
It
we're
has
gonna
to
give
come
staff
back for-
recommendation on one of the options, right?
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. Direction, right, which will be how we'll vote, so that we don't have to rehorse the topic. I mean, the only option, scenario to not do 4 if that's not the will of the people that are involved, right? So if they're not willing to start a club and have it unlimited, then that's a moot point, then we're on option 3. So I guess that could be the question that Director Jansen asked all the folks in that email chain of responses, right? Which they'd prefer.
Yeah, so if it's gonna take 2 weeks anyways. We can't vote on anything, nothing's gonna change tonight anyways. So there's a couple questions to be asked that are captured in the minutes tonight. We'll get those questions answered, and then when we go to vote, we'll have the right information to vote on it, right?
Okay, so to paraphrase,
So I just want to clarify here, like,
Yep.
just trying to save 2 weeks is honestly all I'm trying to do. And Madam Clerk may correct me, in the past, we've passed motions in discussion items. Council seems to be on option 3 or option 4. And that's basically what I'm going to come back with in 2 weeks.
so I guess the only thing is, do a group of individuals want to do option 4? So, well, yeah, so the options we're discussing are whether we just go back to the way it was last year, we run the program capped at 25, but it's free, or you start a club, and you can have, do what you want with the program, and we'll in-kind you the room, so,
And the insurance.
and the insurance.
No, but to be able to go over 25, you have to be outside
Yep.
the municipality unless we change
Unless we,
our policies, right?
cap it at 25. Okay, so option 3,
We can always,
If that's the will, no, I don't care.
we can always look at that after.
okay.
Do option 3.
Why don't we have a fruitful discussion again with the people involved? Get their feedback, come back in 2 weeks, we'll make a proper decision based on that. It's option 3 or option 4.
Right.
And we'll work with the group to come up with the best option.
So we agree that it will be
Okay.
free, and we'll figure out the best scenario.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And I think that's the most important part of the direction is, do we want it free or not? Council is saying they want it free. Okay, so clerk, so we're fine to giving direction to come back in 2 weeks with options 3 or 4 based on the feedback from the group. And then talking to the instructor, right? I mean, that would be part of it would be a moot point if they decide not to do anything, so, which hopefully not, so. Okay, moving to 11, notice of motion. So Councillor Smith, you wanted to discuss 9B, which is the resolution from North Glengarry's and their blue box regulation.
Yeah, so just with the talk that we had earlier tonight about some of the recycle being excluded, I really think that every municipality in Ontario should be supporting this motion that North Glengarry made to get all recycle included, because if it's not, it's just gonna end up in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Long story short.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%. Clerk O'Brien, can you bring a resolution back for our consent next meeting, please? Thank you. Everybody, I assumed everybody was going to agree on that. We've already agreed once on it, so.
Agreed on this one.
Okay, very good. And that's it. So I have a motion that we move to closed session at 7:56 PM. So just as we sign off the live broadcast, I'd like to thank everybody within the municipality. Thank our guests coming tonight. Certainly everybody watching online, the staff for preparing all the agenda items, and the team for being here tonight. Shout out to this week, Apple Fest Committee. Candace Latulip leads a great group of volunteers on that Apple Fest Committee, and I know she doesn't want to take a lot of credit, but she certainly is a major component of that committee. So thank you to all those involved with Apple Fest. It was a super great event. I know all of us were there on and off or checked in or have heard how great it was, and it was awesome. So with that, Harvest Fest this weekend. So everybody, please head out to Williamsburg for another great event in South Dundas. So with that being said, good night from South Dundas.